Okay, you say still in Reverse and the Golden Guides. Say as the U-turn progresses, their opportunities multiply with their awareness. Say this is a very comforting assurance, especially to those interested in their material life, because most people think of opportunities only in the material sense. It will make them more well off materially and all the like. But is material well-being commensurate with greater awareness, or is it not? And with no indications of progress, we talk about how the U-turn progresses, and then their opportunities multiply with their awareness. Now, in the new presentation, there are no indicators of progress like we'll have in Harry and Johnny Corporation, with their initiation slips to mark the progress of the student and all that. So now the new student seems to feel that he isn't making any progress, especially with his material gridlock, the angle that most often he looks at things from. So what do you say about this, Duane? This statement that the U-turn progresses, they have more opportunities that multiply with their awareness, but at the same time, this is not reflected in their circumstances, and then the new students don't have any indicators of progress they are making. So how do you reconcile this? Making progress, not making progress?
Could you make us a chart, Charles? And let's see if we can figure it out. Okay, can you make us a chart? Progress chart? You know, those little things where the lines go up and down and whatever. It's like today we're up, the next day we're down, like the stock market. Progress chart. Do you want to use that? Okay, so yeah, so you know, the idea of progress, it's funny. What does that really mean? You know, to the world, yes, it's something. It shows, and you know, you mentioned Joni and Harry again, which we do a lot because you know they're fun. They're fun to refer to. She's making progress, but it's difficult for her. She's in the material sense. They're making progress, and the member shrimps that are paying her and supporting her, they think they're making progress too. See, but there's this thinking. See, she knows what she's doing. She's the business gal, and she's got the member shrimps to think they're making progress. See, and so she's doing her job. She's really good. So yes, there is progress there. Is that the type of progress you want to be involved in? Again, it's choice. Now, with us, it's not about progress. It's about a real purpose. There's difference. And the real purpose I'm talking about is to recognize the isness that supersedes everything. But again, that's a big journey. So again, you have the business world where did the idea of progress come from? Did the caveman decide, oh, gee, are we making progress here? Have we discovered fire yet? Okay, then once they did, it's like, oh, gee, we're making progress here. Is that what they were thinking? I don't know. Doesn't matter. You know, there was a cartoon called BC, which I liked, and about the caveman and the ideas really of today, putting it into a prehistoric character type thing, which is fun. So again, we have fun in creation and we have all these references, but it's really not about progress. So much so that, yes, things happen in the physical sense, of course. You can say that we're making progress with what we've done. And I'll use Val and the college here last semester. Did we make progress? Well, in a way we did. But if you want to refer it into the financial aspects, and then usually what progress means. Are we making a profit? Are we doing this? This is the progress of things, is to make a profit. So here we have the feds, the reptilians, the global wardens. They've created a system to where people chase it, and so it's all accordance. The progress is in accordance, really, with the monetary system, isn't it? So we utilize this, but what we're doing in the presentation is not along those lines at all. It's about a real purpose, and at the same time, yes, we live in the system, and we live and do in the system because we've agreed to come here. You know, keep that in mind too. Chose to come here, chose to take on the challenge. And it doesn't matter what the world's like in creation, because it's all about your real awareness to eventually supersede it. So these things are, again, in reference and opportunities. And yes, I know that, you know, thinking in the terms of, okay, so we know about the real guides, we're doing the new you, and so life should get better in the physical sense. Well, those are choices that people make. I had a great business. I worked at it. I was a contractor. I did really good. Then when I switched over to this, basically in '08 completely, because of what the government had done at that time and changed policies and whatever. So the business, the construction world, went phooey for a while, which it does off and on. And it was I wanted to get out of it anyhow. So since then, I've been rather struggling because, again, I'm taking on a bigger picture that is taking me longer than I anticipated. It looked easy at first, but it's become bigger, and I see what I've learned is huge because of what I've decided, and it's not in the same sense as when I was a contractor. So when it comes into those terms, Charles, just like we've talked about, we'll take the Africans as an example. You know, again, I suggested they get together because, again, of how the situations exist there. And so we're getting into a more real nature here. And so the old idea is that, you know, a lot of the people in the United States, as an example, where Paul started, yeah, their lives and whatever got better financially, etc., because of the circumstances that they're in here. And that also was the focus, you see, was their personal life. And so many of them have done very, very well. And anybody can do that. I can do that too. I can go out there and create corporations and do the business world, but then it would take away from this. So I'm not interested in any of that. I'm not interested in chasing the money. I want to, you know, provide something with the real adventure and see how it comes out. So yeah, there is that, but now because of, and we'll use the corporation as an example, there's a lot of people that are very well-to-do in the corporation, and they're thinking in terms, oh, it's the Ek, or it's Spirit, or it's Harry, he's doing it, he's doing his magic tricks, and we're all doing really well. Well, again, you know, the reason that so many of these companies in the world are bought off is because they're willing to be bought off and agree to the agenda of demise that the world is going into. So again, that's what comes first with them. So, you know, now it's come around to where, yeah, people are doing better accordance with the systems, and we want to kind of supersede that altogether. So it's a bigger challenge, but cannot say here or there, etc. But the opportunities are there. We decide accordingly. And again, Joni, the material part and your real awareness, there is a difference. Putting it together, that's a real challenge too. So I'd like to thank Kelsey Brown and others that have stepped up and for what they're doing. This is where we, not only do we get with what we're providing out there, the new presentation supporting the all-natural environment, but at the same time, we're being funded in little ways that help support us. Yes, every bit helps, etc. But we're not going to be building temples and stuff like this and all this nonsense. We're really wanting to, our first project is to just do a natural forest to do something wonderful on the earth and see what comes from that. But there will be a lot more. So, yeah, there's so many particulars. But as I look at it, I start to see the difference, and there's kind of a separation there to where the old idea was that, well, if you're more spiritual, you'll prosper and whatever. Just like the TV evangelists, hey, they're doing really great, aren't they? They're millionaires, etc. And all they do is preach the word of God. So all they have to do is say, oh, gee, it's God that gave us this stuff. But is it really, or is it really their attitude and their business performance, like Joni? It could really be that, couldn't it? But it's okay. We're all playing the game here, and they decide. And a lot of these people, they're just going to stay stuck in creation because they don't know about their real awareness. So that's where we come in and take on that challenge to see who will support us with what makes sense as the world is getting as dying as it's self-destructing. So, yes, go ahead, Charles.
Okay, Duane. But let me just add something to what you've said. I think that doing something, we're not chasing money, no doubt, but we also want to support ourselves meaningfully, because I think real freedom will start with our own physical freedom, because there is no one's beingness is compromised when you go bowl in hand, begging, and others have to support you. You see, without you paying your own way through life, through your own creative efforts. So I think in as much as we want real freedom, and we're working for it, we should also use that consciousness, let me say it, the expanded awareness to create opportunities for ourselves, as we've just highlighted. That could be done amongst the Africans and even replicated in other parts of the world. But it's very difficult for individuals to see this. I, for one, I'm actively involved in some opportunities that could create some money for myself, because with this idea of real freedom, if you've read the new presentation, you've imbibed this knowledge, that you look at the world in a different way, and you don't want to be a dependent in any form. Yeah, you want to pull your own strings rather than let people be in control of your life. So I think creating circumstances that will lead to our personal financial well-being or otherwise is part of this freedom we're looking for. We shouldn't like bury ourselves, our heads in the sand. So we're not concerned about our well-being here, material well-being or anything like that, because it even hampers our ability to propagate or to share the new presentation. Yes, we want to reach that stage where we can individually fund some courses, support the courses that we support through our own means, because especially in Africa, there people think that where the new presentation has some magic wand that will just and using it will bring some affluent circumstances, but it's not the case, you see, because all deals with awareness and using this awareness to create opportunities for yourself. Without the awareness, you will not see the opportunities, and you will not know how to take advantage of them if they are there when they do present themselves without the awareness. So that's just what I want to add.
Let me comment on your the financial well-being. I understand this, and this is along the lines of the world. This is how we've been taught. So there are those that I've met many times, and they will say something along the lines of, well, I like what you're doing, I want to be part of it, but I want to get my financial world, etc., in order first. And so, and that's fine, but what usually happens is that as they put all their efforts into their financial world only, many times they forget this, because once they've situated themselves where they want to be financially, they haven't taken the time also to recognize what they're going through. So it all becomes just the financial world and being supported, so they feel that, oh, okay, well, I'm fine now. Okay, I'm awake, I'm aware, I'm fine now, I have my finances together, so life's good, and that's it. That's all they recognize. So they feel within themselves that, okay, they've reached where they want to because they have accomplished their financial well-being, so to speak. So they feel good about things, just like they think they know what life is about. And so, no, there's always a bigger picture. The part of the isness that I like is that there's always a lot more endlessly that I don't know. So what I'm sharing is what I do know, but the best part for me is to explore what I don't know. And this is what is not recognized, and this is what life is. So it's not about the known world and financial being so much. I would rather struggle a little bit because it motivates me to see more with life as opposed to being financially set and then just sitting in my comfort zone, unaware of what else there is and not being motivated at all to look there. See? It's free will, isn't it? It's very interesting how it works. Again, what comes first? Your personal life? You can these things will happen. Everybody has their knack for things, you might say. Everybody can do something or figure it out, especially today. It's, if you don't have a job, just go on Facebook and there's going to be something there that you'll figure out. All of us have an imagination. You utilize that. We have a creativeness. We know how to think. We know how to relate to others. There's many ways to do it. But when you're just motivated to where your intent is just for your financial being, well, you're just subjecting yourself to a one-dimensional world. That's it. You're working with a created system, which is fine. I take Social Security. Hey, I'll work the system. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with anything that makes sense. But I've seen it so many times where people, again, if you're struggling, just like Val and Kelsey came here, I was struggling, and it's fine. That's fine. So again, I'm going through what I'm going through, and I can say, well, life wants me to do this or whatever, but I don't. I just got to pay the rent, whatever. So they came down, and so from that, they came down from Northern California, and so from that, we're all doing a lot better. Everybody's learning something, so we're all sharing with each other. So I'm not saying everybody live together, but it just depends upon what makes sense, and this made sense with me, which is fine. So whether even the vessel projects or other things come into the physical, whatever they do or not, that takes agreement. In other words, we're dealing with the world. I've decided something, but it takes agreement, and the boys are not going to just shove their way into this world. It all takes agreement. And I may even have the finances, but if nobody decides to build the vessels, well, they're not going to be built, so I'll do something else. And just like we had the event lined up for the college, well, I saw at a certain point that we're probably going to cancel this because it's just not making sense with how we're so-called progressing along the line. So, again, it's choice, isn't it? It's all about choice. And so what's more important? You can't say. It's a roll of the dice. Everything is. Even the world as it's established, the reptilians created the business world, basically. They've created it to subject people to this world, to control them. It's all about control. It's not what it appears to be. They've presented it to be like the good life, so that they have subjected people to these situations to where they agree to them. They just want their agreement. So they'll create any situation they can, which is fine. You decide to wake up from it or not. And so I see the value of the real awareness. And so real freedom, in a way, it's not really the issue. It's a nice idea. And it's not about being attached or unattached or all these other things. It's like, oh, gee, you don't have your real freedom or whatever. This is what is so cool about once you recognize the isness of life as opposed to the ideas that have been created. The idea of freedom or real freedom is in accordance with the ideas that exist in creation only, not what the isness life is. So again, it's sorting and figuring these things out. But again, each individual, like I'm talking about financial well-being, each person decides their life and what they wish to put forward. And again, the intent. And this is a biggie for people to recognize their real intent. Their intent, that is your being, and for the most part they don't, because they use the mind. The mind has been conditioned. You've accepted a conditioning and a routine in a particular way, so you think along those lines like your computer. You think along those lines, and you don't even go to your intent. You're motivated to do certain things, and yes, we use the idea of, well, these are my intentions. I intend to marry your daughter, okay, not just date her forever, whatever, okay. So we use those ideas, but we really don't recognize. Most people do not recognize what their real intent is. That's the heart of your being, but we call it heart, and then it comes to the personal heart, or that organ that you have within you, whatever. So all these references, people become lost in them. And so again, financial well-being is one thing. Yeah, if you want it, go for it. And I've seen people that they have said that, oh, I want to sort out my finances and get my life straight first with this. And then I never saw them again. They disappeared. I don't know where they are. And sometimes I'll see them on the real side, and realistically, they're not doing very good, but physically, they're doing very well, just like the politicians and the Queen in that. Hey, the Queen's doing great. She tells the public she's got $4 trillion in her bank account. After a while, what do numbers mean? I mean, how much can you buy, or what is the value of that? Can you take that into outer space and buy another planet? Is that what you want? Etc. So what does all this mean? But on the real side, take a look at her. Oh, yeah, these people have done very well financially, and a lot of other people, the monarchy and all of them, they're all so happy and giggling, and they have their ceremonies and their marriages and whatever, and the public eats it up. But realistically, on the real side, the reality life is, how are they doing? They're not doing very good, are they? They're really in blackness, like Harry. He's in a blackness. They're doing fine financially. He's all taken care of. He's met his goal with Joni, and they're doing fine financially, but realistically, they're in darkness. And as soon as this little episode ends here, well, Now he has to face what he didn't see or didn't want to see before. He must face it. Everything equals itself. And that's okay too. And then from there, he will decide. It's always that deciding, isn't it? It's always free will. So again, this opportunity is here. Yes, you can have your financial well-being, but at the same time, you can wake up and become more aware and eventually bring it around to where it all makes sense what the true reality life is, and you decide how you're going to bring that intent, because it recognizes that. It really does recognize it wholeheartedly, and that becomes your love affair with life. You decide your romances. Yes. And just like Rebazar said, life demands a marriage. What does that mean? Was he kidding or what? So again, yes, go Charles.
Yeah, Duane, thank you. Now, this is what I'm going to say is from, it's from old school spirituality. And from the, but I'm wondering whether from the position of the new nowness, the new wave is, could it apply to some degree? So I would quote from Sankara Singh, who admonishes, thus, no matter what difficulties come, no matter what your condition may be, never let go of the Guru's hand for your own sake. So, can this old wisdom note be outdated? I think they may not be too old. What do you say, Duane?
That's very interesting. So at one time it did apply, and maybe it does, but I would say on the real side, I want us to take a look at the Guru's hand and see what it is now. It's a cute idea, though, isn't it? And I don't refer to that anywhere. I would say, first of all, take a look on the real side as to what life shows you. That outstretched hand, what does that look like now? You see? Is it the same hand that it was? At a certain point, that was fine, Kirpal Singh, whatever. But what is it really now? What does that hand look like that you're reaching for to hang on to, that's going to so-called take you along to whatever, okay? Or Harry's hand, as an example. That's a good one. Yeah, the hand thing. Yeah. Sounds scary to me. It sounds like one of those Stephen King movies. Take my hand. Take the hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the new presentation, everyone stands on their own feet, and we stand together. Is that the idea?
Well, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's on YouTube, and that is the old reruns of the Addams Family. Okay, they had a hand in a box. I'm sure that some people remember that. Okay, it's a comedy series. So yeah, it's called the Addams Family, and yeah, I would say I like that idea. Actually, that could be one of the latest Stephen King movies is It, and which is a crazy clown. Okay, some guy that decides to be a little different than everybody else. Okay, and so he could do one, The Hand. I like that. That's very good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see, again, when you look at these cute little sayings, they had their time. Just like when we read the Bible and all these things. Jesus loves you and all these things. I mean, these are cute little things, but realistically making sense of it, does that make sense? Do these cute little stories now make sense? You decide. I'm not saying right or wrong. You decide. It's not my choice. But some people will want to choose it because they want to feel comfortable with themselves, you see, instead of exploring the reality life is. There is a difference. So for the most part, this is where people like the passive babysitting systems because they want to be comfortable with themselves. I see there was a video that Ava put on my Facebook, a little girl, probably 2 years old, reading a story to her cat, a little orange cat, which is sitting there hugging her. These things are awesome. I see that as awesome. But yes, can't live for that, but we do experience these things as we go along, and then eventually the little girl grows up and she's going to have attitudes, all right? But right now she's a little cutie with the kitty. So again, things change, etc., because this is cause and effect. So yeah, that hand thing, at one time it worked. It was cool. It needed to be. But right now, I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere with what I'm presenting. But yeah, and again, where is that hand taking people? Yeah, I'd take a look further and see where the hand is going. Yeah, you scared us all, Charles. Okay, with that, we're at 2 hours here, Charles. Thank you. Yes. I hope everybody's okay out there. Yeah, take a little Alka-Seltzer. Yeah, okay. No, you're wonderful. It allowed me to explain a lot of things, and so yeah, you're wonderful for being there. And we're just trying to do something in this world because the world's nuts. It's definitely off its axis, and it is friggin' nuts. And so, but it's okay. It really motivates me. I have seen within myself since I started this, my view and my intent and my direction, my real purpose, how it becomes more and more defined. It's so cool that there's no end to it because it is all that unseen part that becomes the best part of it and not the seen. And the seen is always there. That's easy. Creation is easy, even though it seems difficult. The tougher part is the recognition and standing real with this true reality. So again, as people go along, people are babied for the longest time and having experiences. That is not it. So again, there's just a whole lot more that you're not seeing. So everybody that's come through, whatever they've come through, it doesn't matter how long they've been there. When you start this, you're starting at zero. That's it. It's time to earn your way. It's not that, oh, gee, I went through all this stuff. I hear people, oh, I got the initiations here and I was on 4 paths. And okay, fine. Those are like plaques on your wall. You know, it has nothing to do with the whole of life. You're starting at zero here. I suggest to pay attention and learn how to earn a real life. That's so much better. What you've gone through is simulation, and you've collected that experience. But you're starting at zero here. You're starting at square one. That's very real. And I do that every day. I'm always now. You see, now. And I start over every moment. That's the best part. And I bring along the experience that I've had that I've used to recognize the succession of each new now. So when we're bringing things along with us, fine. But that just becomes baggage if you cannot simulate it according to how life is instead of just according to you and what you think you know. Fine, you can have anything you want. It's just stuff. You see? That becomes the real challenge and adventure. Can you do that? Can you figure that out? Will you? Or do you want to just stay stuck with your stuff? Okay? Because then it just becomes stuff, like the hand. Yeah. So what is the hand today? Okay, Charles, you're going to be doing the new you, and you're going to report back next week, and everybody else can too. This will be fun. Everybody do the new you session, And that one was Kerpel Singh or Harry or whoever. Okay, let's see whose hand you see. You know, they're always putting out their hand, aren't they? Just like in the business world, you really know whose hand you're shaking. Yeah, could be shaking. Yeah, it's a little bit funny, isn't it? Yeah, see, as you become more aware, all of a sudden you start to notice things that, yeah, at first to the personal self, it's a little bit scary. It's like, whoa, all of a sudden I see this. You know, how many people in the audience listening to David Icke as an example, all of a sudden they're interested in the lecture and whatever, maybe they're first timers, and all of a sudden by the end of the probably 2 hour lecture or 3 hours, they're sitting there sweating. They don't even know if they want to get up and go outside because, you know, everybody's a monster. You see, so yeah, it is. This is our experience with life. So we're trying to make it as fun and gentle as possible. But yeah, there are scary parts, and yes, at times you need to step up and take the risk, or you don't. You just stay stuck with yourself. It's a choice. This is what I like about what I'm presenting, and that is that we don't negate anything. As soon as you start negating things, okay, then you create a defensiveness to where you have to deal with that too. I'd rather deal with confrontation where it's all wiped clean and have the challenge of figuring that out, as opposed to start negating things. It's like, oh, that's bad, or the bankers are bad, or the government's bad, or whatever. No, as opposed to sharing and really defining what's taking place. That's all. We're just simply defining it. And if you want that choice, go for it. That's all. I'm just creating the comparison. So anybody can do that, taking on the challenge. And this is what Kelsey and the kids are doing. They're doing all kinds of funny stuff. And let's see how it shows up. But it's fun.